Okay. Let's do another test run here. Are people able to see us now? Okay, you're back on.
Okay, good.
I'm not sure what happened.
Weird. Hopefully that
I think I mean, nothing was really lost.
No,
we
but
were still at over an hour, but
no, which is good.
it is just really confusing. I it happens to a lot of different streamers over the course of time,
Sure.
but OBS just completely disconnected, and it didn't really give me a reason as to why. So I thought, well, let me just reset the internet connection, which, crazy enough,
Yeah, did you all tell them that story on what, Monday?
no. But no, like, crazy enough, um, I had to unplug the Ethernet cable, and it's starting to work now. So I thought that was the strongest connection I could have. Turns out it's one of the reasons that's why it failed. All right, weird. Let's go back to just pretending we never actually left.
No, for something completely different.
Yeah. Little is known of the early years of the nearly immortal Ra's al Ghul, whose name means the demon's head. But it is known that he has lived for many centuries due to Lazarus pits, mystical and alchemical brews that restored his youth. A brilliant master of strategy and organization, Ra's al Ghul's goal is to save the Earth from ecological devastation by destroying most of its population. He recognizes Batman as both a worthy foe and a possible ally, except that Batman cannot accept his dystopic worldview. Batman also shares a love-hate relationship with Ra's daughter, the beautiful Talia. Names unknown, international terrorist, green eyes, gray with white streaks for hair, 6'3", 210. This looks the part, but that's still very big actually for a weight, considering like how normally he looks pretty skinny.
Yeah.
First appearance being in the 70s. That's actually kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, this whole thing behind that.
Genius intellect and strategist, superior strength and stamina, superb hand-to-hand combat combatant, trained over millennia, nearly immortal thanks to his Lazarus pits, and commands a legion of followers dedicated to bringing his vision of an earthly paradise to fruition.
All right. Now, creepy fact here. If we did come, as I mentioned earlier, I can go only get this here. If I came back into this room, this is gone.
Makes sense.
It does make sense, but some people, like when this first came out, they're like, "Oh, well, that's a funny little Easter egg." No, afterwards, this is, in fact, Raisha's body right here. So yeah, there you go.
So now I gotta make sure that my phone is able to kind of keep track of what's actually happening.
Someone is real not insane. The only question now is no sign of forced injury.
But just because I can't exactly, well, maybe I can't check.
Let's see.
What got cut off?
Dr. Young knocked her notes before Joker. She's taken them to hide somewhere. I need to follow her and find out where she put them.
Okay, I figured out where it cut off.
Okay.
You were explaining how the Spider-Man games were working.
Okay.
You want to go ahead and finish that thought then, Ray?
Because you were saying that in a game with Batman, you wanted to do it to where like you feel like you're Batman, and that there's certain crimes always going on. What do you have to? You have to choose what you're prioritizing.
Right.
And so that makes me think of the Spider-Man games where you're swinging around and someone calls for help, and so you have to stop someone who is like
Just a twisted diversion. The real action's on Arkham.
committing robbery of some kind, holding someone up at gunpoint, or say someone who's hanging from a building.
Only for you to drown them outside the city.
Right.
All right.
So same thing with Batman. Like you can do that. Just have people call for help as you're going to investigate this big thing, and someone's getting robbed in an alleyway, or their car got stolen, or their wallet got stolen.
Yeah, I'm gonna touch on that after I read this. Following the suspicious death of his multi-billionaire parents in a fire, Roman Sionis inherited their fortune and then went on to bankrupt their company. Saved by a buyout by Bruce Wayne, Sionis came to resent and hate Wayne. Fixated on the concept of masks, Sionis carved one from his father's black coffin and sought revenge. His ensuing battle with the Dark Knight caused his mask to be burnt into his skin, remaking him as the Black Mask. Sionis is now a feared gang leader and one of the most powerful mob bosses in Gotham, with a burning hatred of the Batman. Roman Sionis, professional criminal, Gotham City, brown eyes, hair none, 6'1", 195. That looks normal.
Yeah.
That feels normal. An 80s appearance.
Yeah.
Obsessed with masks, harbors a hatred of Batman and Bruce Wayne, face resembles a Black Skull, feared and powerful mob boss, skilled marksman known for his double handguns.
Yep. We saw Black Mask a lot in the last game. So
I just had a random thought.
what's up?
So, we see the first appearance of each of these villains, and it's at 80s for Black Mask, specifically 85.
Yeah.
My first thought was like, he didn't seem like an 80s kind of villain, but then again, I don't think any of them really fit the decades that they're from.
They kind of do. Let's see. Partly has to do with like their outfits at the time. Like Joker is, he's in a way as a timeless villain, but he was a very early 40s villain. Same with Catwoman too. Talking about Ra's al Ghul, part of it has to do like in the 70s they were far more. The 70s was the beginning of them being far more environmentally conscious and stuff like that too. The use of resources was starting to be topical. It's like, okay, let's make a villain to reflect that. And this is when the Batman as a whole needed to have a big shakeup too, because it was just coming out of the Adam West biff bang boom campy era stuff. So they decided, okay, let's go the complete opposite. Put Batman back at his roots, being a dark avenger, a detective. And so they're like, okay, let's do that. Who's a character that we can really shake things up? Let's create Ra's al Ghul, not really a traditional supervillain. Make him just as smart, if not smarter than Batman. And not only that, I would say, hey, I know your identity. And I want you to like join my family and stuff.
Yeah, that brings me to something else too. I before I got to Black Mask, I wanted to say something about back to my reiteration of how I would make a game for this. Your media reputation. I would say that the actions that you perform, I think like the criminals will have like their own kind of like difficulty level for them. If you kept going for the easier stuff, then you won't be feared as much. But the more difficult stuff that you take on,
Oh.
then the more of the reputation that you'll get from the top criminals. So it's like you kind of have to earn your way towards even getting to these ones. They're all accessible to you from early stages. So it's like you could just boot up the game in like, in a couple hours, take on the hardest challenge. And then you can just kind of roam around the city as like this feared entity that, did the impossible out of nowhere, right? Like especially if you're starting off your origin story for Batman. I think that would be one way to do it.
See, now I'm just thinking of like a funny thing to put in the game, but like not necessarily like serious, but like you said, you build that reputation, and the more challenging stuff you do, the more impossible things you pull off, the more feared you become, and the more you become the Batman, right?
Right.
Well, then the opposite could also happen.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like that also affects your costume. You can go with, you have this armored, costume, or you can have a Party City Batman.
Well, I think that kind of also adds to like the risk of losing.
Yeah.
Let's say you're in that situation. Like, here's the thing. In my video game, I'm not going to give you a restart. You build up that reputation all over again. So if you fail at something, and then that causes you to, get mugged, get your costume stolen, get your identity revealed, you have to earn that back.
What do we want to do for upgrades?
Armor. That should be the last one, right?
Yeah, this is the last one.
Okay.
Good. We're nearly maxed out on our armor.
So yeah, those are the type of things that I would implement. How do you guys feel about playing around with either third-person view or first-person view for Batman?
Um,
I could take it.
Third person. I never liked first person so much myself. This is annoying once.
What are we doing?
We're lining up the question mark with this dot right here. Perfect. Oh, it's very possible.
I returned to my work, but I could not shake the pictures from my mind. I should have been repulsed, but I was more eager than ever to find an explanation for why someone.
Okay, was there anything else that we wanted to bring up about the laws?
Not really. We kind of covered it right there. Like we covered quite a few shows and movies that are like where they just ignore certain things because of what WB said. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Does WB treat the other characters in the same way?
They do for Superman.
Okay.
Well, they're kind of. When I think about it, no, they don't. Because we've had quite a lot of live action Superman television shows over the years. The only time they ever did something like that was with Smallville, where they can say the name Superman, and he wasn't allowed to actually wear the Superman costume to the very last frame of the very last episode. Very much like Gotham, oddly enough. But I will say the main difference with that is Superman can have a live action TV show, but it cannot be at the same time like a popular Superman movie is out. For instance, they had the Superman and Lois TV show a couple of years ago, and they did that whole run, but there wasn't a Superman movie at all at that point.
You know, you asked if Warner Brothers treats the other DC characters like that. What lead you to assume they care about the other characters?
Well, they tried over the years to get a live action Wonder Woman show off the ground. It never did happen. There's been two fairly decent live action Flashes, but both those ended before the Flash movie even started. Which one? Show or the movie?
Yes. There's a Flash show on CW got me to actually like the character. And then it just went off the rails.
It's one of those ones objectively good, but just to know when to end.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Things they're doing, having actors, say, it's like,
I will say, you have to admit, a much better successful franchise overall.
yeah.
All right, here we go. Start to read again, Coach.
The Penguin, one of Batman's oldest foes, is an eccentric criminal mastermind, known as much for his love of ornithology and trick umbrellas as for his shady business dealings. Gotham's popular Iceberg Lounge serves as Cobblepot's front for a number of illegal financial activities that fund much of the city's underworld. Despite his short stature, the Penguin is a wily foe whose umbrellas conceal a variety of deadly weapons and gadgets. Oswald Chesterfield Cobblepot, restaurateur, racketeer, blue eyes, brown hair, 5'2", 175 pounds.
No.
That is a lie and a half.
I mean, okay, too bad. What do you think about what's going to happen for an average sized person? For how short he is, don't you think that makes sense?
No.
Why?
You know why?
That's why I asked.
Those are my measurements. Do I look that round?
Well, to be fair, this is muscle versus fat, though. And he's very, very much a fat guy, though.
Even when I was at my fattest, I was not that round. It's like, no, that's a lie. That is a lie.
This egg-shaped man.
He is 230.
I'll give him.
Dude, I'm 240.
I'll give him an even.
But are you 5'2"?
No.
No.
I'll give him an even 200.
No.
All right. So the appearance.
December 1941.
He's definitely a 40s villain, though. He's somewhat old timey in his mannerisms.
Yeah.
Criminal and financial mastermind, expert hand-to-hand combatant, which I would not have assumed. Driven by a need to prove himself in spite of his comical appearance, employs various weapons, mainly many based on umbrellas and birds,
I-
but not bird.
No, different guy. Different guy.
Expert hand-to-hand combat. Like,
Well, as I mentioned, the Batman. He's the most combative out of all the versions of that. Like he's hopping. He's okay. It's kind of similar to Yoda. Who's also short too. It's like he's jumping around. He's doing all these kicks and flips and stuff like that. Plus, he's got the umbrella guns too. Like it. I've seen it work. There's a popular version where it did work.
well, okay. When it says hand-to-hand combatant,
Yeah.
I'm imagining, you take away the gun,
Uh-huh.
because that's not hand-to-hand.
Sure.
And I just think of the different versions of Penguin where they have him like waddling.
Mhm.
It looks like he's struggling to even walk. I can't imagine him being able to just fight.
He's got the he's got the excuse of Steven Seagal.
See, for me, okay, here's how I do it. If I was going to put Penguin in this new iteration of anything, I would just say he is that short, he is that round, but his whole thing about the waddling thing is a front to throw people off.
I believe that.
Like he can fight very well. And that's part of the reason, like the bio said, he's driven by a need to prove himself constantly due to the fact of how weird he looks. That's one of the ways to do it.
I mean, if anything, that does really feed into his character.
Yeah, exactly.
Knowing that like we're actively doubting a lot of the stuff that is being told about us.
Exactly. So
Uh,
we said this in an older stream where, the Penguin is like the darker version of specifically Bruce Wayne if he went down a bad path. And I like to bring this up by saying, why can't Penguin also go around the world fighting too, but for just to mess with people?
I'm kind of imagining a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory kind of style, like
Yeah.
walk down with the cane, and you just do a front flip into a choreographed fight.
Yes. These guys are so hard to find sometimes.
Oh, how frustrating. Thought it was going to be easy, didn't you? Have to bite on you, nothing. You two minutes the wrong version of happiness. The audience will be in fits of ecstasy and then die. There you go. I'm getting already. You guys should just live that up.
Okay. For this hypothetical Batman video game,
Uh-huh.
how much time would you want to spend as Bruce Wayne?
Every other day.
I'm not sure. But I definitely would want to make that option to get out of the costume. Just do stuff as Bruce Wayne. And especially if you're going with, like, you have to balance everything. You also have to balance the whole thing as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So, you have to go to meetings and stuff. and then notification comes up like, oh, the back computer found something, a clue or whatever, that's towards something you're investigating. Do you immediately leave that meeting, or do you wait till that's finished and then go do stuff as Batman?
Yeah. I also wanted to make it clear that like I'd hate for a game such as this to treat it as though you start off with little money and it's like no, like money will not be the issue. Your issue is
Balancing
time. Yeah, it's time and it's media manipulation.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I don't care about the money. Like, do all the spending that you want, but where you spend it towards, will show, like how much influence you'll have potentially in your next battle against a certain villain.
And I also want to do like, you have options to have like Lucius take over for you with some business deals, or what I saw in one animated movie where Alfred pretended to be Bruce using some sort of technology
Oh, wait, what's that? We're Wayne Manor now. Ooh.
and did like a video call to the board of directors and was like, oh, I'm over here studying this. It's for the company, yada, yada, yada. In reality, Bruce was missing.
Yeah.
So Alfred did that to kind of cover up. So you could do little things like that to take care of the business side of things while you're Batman.
Can't go back. Weird.
There's also a good opportunity to have you care about Batman resting.
You know what? I would have. This is a callback to a game we played a while ago. I would have the whole Bruce Wayne aspects of stuff be the free time events in Danganronpa.
Yeah, I could see that. I just wanted to matter more than what it did for the game.
Sure.
Come on.
By the way,
But I do want the implementation of it.
By the way, Kevin Conroy is doing double duty like he did in the animated series as Thomas Wayne.
Yeah, so how I think that it'll affect you for managing your time for sleep will kind of be how it was for Origins. It's like, oh well, we're getting you to care more about this, and reminding you that some of this stuff can happen over the course of the day. You'll take care of like so many different problems, and
Please, there's no need for this. I'll give you whatever you want.
Tom! Oh God, Tom! Stay away from me! Run! Mommy!
Okay, remind me, Coach, did you ever play the Spider-Man games? That was on the PS2.
yeah,
Remember the side mission where you deliver the pizzas?
yeah.
I want it to be as stressful as that when you're trying to balance these things.
Oh my God, we've been turned into a child.
Come on, this way.
I don't hate it, but I also don't want it to be like the only thing that like people will remember it for.
Yeah, it's just mostly making a joke.
But even then,
Yeah.
I was like, this stuff is stressful.
Mhm.
Think about what we're dealing with in Dredge.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, like you have a level of insanity
I'm sorry.
to keep up.
Mhm.
And if you keep going about your business and treating all that stuff, then people will start to get suspicious.
Yeah.
And then you'll start freaking out and giving yourself more problems.
Yeah.
And how does that look when all of a sudden, you know, it's not like the fear toxin or whatever is taking over like how it is right now, but it's more of just like, what does it look like when you've set so much time aside and now all of a sudden you can't trust the bottom ticker?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's starting to make up stories.
Yeah.
Maybe it's starting to make up the story that like, oh, your identity has been revealed, or like you're dealing with kind of like Batman's insecurities. So I would want it to feed into that more. Where it's like it's a simple thing that you could manage,
Yeah.
but if you don't take care of it, then it's gonna hurt you.
I definitely would want more stuff like this.
Stop it, Batman. Go. Nope. Yep.
I will break you.
That's not your line.
Whee!
Duh, skeletons. Who says those punches don't break people?
I think trying to say that they don't know how strong Batman is.
I mean, bones are exploding right now, so I would think so. All right, now the next phase. Yep. Comes back around.
Everything you see is under my control.
Nice.
Jump.
Right.
Mhm.
In your game,
Mm-hmm.
if you play it poorly, and I mean like to the degree that you kind of take like the genocide route,
Okay.
as Batman.
Okay.
Would you allow him to kill?
The serial killer route.
Hmm.
That's a tough one.
I would say somewhere in the third one, after losing Jason, you start to have those moments there where you could do a bit more damage to these criminals that you're stopping. And it's going kind of far, even for Batman. And,
Darn it.
and if you do push towards it,
You failed.
it could ultimately lead to you
Suffer.
killing. And that would lead to certain scenes and dialogue where, Bruce has to take a step back and think, what has he become? And this grief of losing Jason, what's done to him.
Yeah, I think that. Ooh, careful. You can go.
No, one more pass through.
I do think that it is it's a conversation worth having about like his morals.
Will shatter like glass.
Yeah. Because if you are truly wanting to give somebody like the free reins to play how they play,
Everything you see is under my control.
then I want to let that be an option.
Yeah.
But you also, again, have to live with the consequences because I'm not going to give you a restart button.
Right.
You know, I think I figured out something here.
Okay.
We don't, because we said that like a lot of the popular villains have been played out to death, but at the same time, we don't want to like completely overlook them for more larger impact storylines. Why not have the big villains be the side quests, the lesser known villains be the main quests?
Yeah.
Good way to flip it on its head.
Yeah.
I would say the way that you do that is by pushing the timeline later.
Okay, sure.
Whereas like now, Joker's too old to do anything.
Hmm.
It's like he can still be an active threat in his own other way, but he's not going to be as physically active.
That's funny because there was a interesting storyline where, okay, how to explain this? It's set in a different Earth, for one thing, and the idea for this was, what if Batman aged like a regular person? This was specifically the Golden Age Batman, so the Batman that we first started off in the 30s. What if he
Is
aged
this a start point, by the way?
after this? Well, what time is it now?
This is 10.
I'll get to Zaz at this point, then call it.
Okay.
So this is the Batman from the 30s. What if he aged normally? And the idea is like he managed to like have a normal life with Catwoman, and this was their kid was Huntress, and how should I put this? So Huntress eventually met up with Joker, who is now much, much older, and he was already dying from cancer due to the amount of toxins that he experimented with over the years.
Yeah.
So like he was still around, and he did like more or less his last hurrah, but like yeah, he couldn't really do a whole lot. Anyway, another one for Coach to read.
Speaking of that one. An orphan who learned to survive on Gotham City streets, Selena Kyle took to thievery to survive. But determined to do it in style, she learned martial arts and trained extensively to perfect her skills at cat burglary. Her criminal activities are often tempered by a reluctant altruism, making her an inconsistent or inconstant villain and occasional hero. She regularly eludes capture by the Dark Knight and maintains a complicated adversarial relationship with Batman that frequently turns flirtatious and occasionally legitimately romantic. Selena Kyle, professional thief, Gotham City, green eyes, black hair, 5'7", 125. Again, they at least get the women right here. Spring of 1940.
Yeah, same. She and Joker.
Batman #1.
She and Joker appeared in the same magazine at the same time, but not in the same story, oddly enough.
Trained gymnast and athlete, expert hand-to-hand combatant. Same level of Penguin. Highly skilled.
And Ra's al Ghul.
Highly skilled with her specialized whip, a cat of nine tails. Capable of astonishing stealth, obsessed with and adept at stealing famous and well-protected items, and drawn to cat motifs.
Mhm.
Stay where you are, Batman. Listen to me.
Hey, and
Come any closer. Crimson with their blood. I know what's still out there. Hear the final song.
there we go.
I saw Joker doesn't take no.
Okay, and then since we're going to be wrapping up shortly, one last question about this game. Commissioner Gordon.
What would his part be?
Yeah.
that that's a tough one because I definitely want to have him there and like he's the one that you talk to get your missions. But like where he is in the story and how he plays into it, I don't quite know.
I say Alfred gives you the missions, but you meet Gordon there. And Gordon is more, at least in the first game, is going to be your full-time partner until you start getting Robins. Like how it is with Phelps and his various partners. Like the more you go up, the different parts you get. So first one, no actual sidekick, but you work with Gordon. Next one, you dig, Jason, so on and so on.
Sure.
With these guys, we'll call it.
Hey, buddy. Come on, son.
Just one more.
Arkham. Dr. Young's dead. past these security gates. Before she died, she told me there's a connection somewhere in the gardens.
The Wayne Tech security protocols seem to be hack-proof. Wish just did a good job. It's a two-part biometric sequence apparently generated by the Warden using a code sequencer.
She's dead.
And destroyed by Joe Quinn to save this book. Harley Quinn as the Warden, and he's the only chance we have to get past these gates.
Okay, good luck.
Get you.
So, you have given in and taken my vow. I hope it proves
And
useful.
get you.
What do you call someone who has failed to solve 3/4 of a...
Gotham's Blackgate Penitentiary once had a gallows tree from which 313 criminals with death sentences were hanged. The wood from that tree was whittled by an inmate into the puppet Scarface, and that inmate was murdered by Arnold Wesker, the man who soon fell under Scarface's influence. While most believe that Scarface is simply a tool through which Wesker, as the criminal mastermind, the ventriloquist, acts out a dark side to his personality, Wesker himself believes that Scarface is possessed by the souls who died beneath the gallows tree, and the puppet actually motivates him to commit the duo's many crimes.
This would be one of the main villains fight this imaginary game that we have.
What?
Scarface / ventriloquist would be one of the main
All right,
villains.
now here's the real height and weight that matters. 2'6", 15 pounds. That seems very light.
Light?
Yeah.
Why?
He's got a lot of wood.
Well, to be fair, we don't know what kind of tree it was, though.
If it's the type of tree that they're using to do that kind of stuff to, 313 times, it ain't no hollow wood.
So what do you think?
That is some sturdy like furniture wood. You know? That's some high grade stuff. So I'm like, that's not gonna be light. Especially all the components and stuff, and he's got a gun, like that's extra weight right there.
So the date, man.
But yeah, he's February 1988.
Yep.
This definitely kind of seems like an 80s villain.
Well, I think he fits better as a 30s. He's dressed like the 30s. He acts like he's from the 30s. So like, oddly enough, he makes more sense for when Batman started than when he actually did come out.
But the 30s would make him a real person.
Shh.
I think the 80s make
Like
him.
gave him enough distance.
Well, it's the ventriloquist part that gets me to think that it's the 80s thing.
Hmm.
But it's not really the aesthetic, more just the idea.
Hmm.
But puppet animated with eerie verisimilitude. I've never seen that word before.
Can I continue?
How do you say it?
I have no idea.
Verisimilitude?
Okay, so I said it correctly.
Because
Just
you
did
said
it
fine.
slowly.
You said fine.
By the ventriloquist. Frequently wields undersized but lethal weaponry. When teamed with the ventriloquist, acts as an old-style mob boss with a sociopathic disregard for human life. By the way, this is how I learned to read.
Just imagine.
Just
Well, you're doing better than most kids now. You at least sound it out. I just imagine there's somebody out there that makes specifically small weaponry and even smaller bullets for this guy.
They must be so happy he's in business.
Right? But no, I would definitely have, yes, in case you're wondering, Coach, Scarface and Ventriloquist have two separate files in this game. They don't share.
Of course.
Mm.
That makes sense.
We'll find that one later.
Oh, but Tweedledee and Tweedledum, they had to be paired together.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I would love Scarface to be a main villain in something. He did have a really, to this date, his only live action appearance was near the very end of Gotham. Like, that was cool, but it should have been more. All right, so, all right, we'll call it here, folks. So, Dr. Young has died. Warden Sharp has been kidnapped. We gotta follow Harley Quinn. We still got more bosses to fight through. But next time, I will try to see if I can find the secret room in here. I'll try. I ain't gonna promise anything.
All right. Well, that being said, Ray, what is our recap for tonight?
Well, we had a lot of fun tonight. But, you know, it's not fun dealing with villains. The faulty stuff in video games that we find. And
Having OBS crash on you for no reason.
that. So, remember, folks.
Trying to figure out what verisimilitude means.
So remember, folks. Lock your doors, lock your windows, travel safe, and don't die.
And we shall see you tomorrow with Kingdom Hearts.
Woo!
All right then.
See ya.
Bye.